established in 2006 by female lawmakers of the 52nd Legislature, Liberia's Women Legislative Caucus aimed to define and promote a unified agenda for women across political, religious, and ethnic divides. It seeks to amplify the voices of Liberian women on critical national issues, champion gender-sensitive legislation, and advocate for women's empowerment and participation in all sectors of the society. Currently, the 55th Legislature comprises 11 female lawmakers, 8 representatives, 3 senators, who continue to work through the Women Legislative Caucus to mainstream gender perspectives in legislation, budgets, and national policy. The Women Legislative Caucus looks set to induct new code of officers to steer the affairs of the caucus for the next 3 years. The induction ceremony takes place Tuesday, May 27, 2025 at 1 p.m. in the courtyards of the Capitol building in Monrovia. 𝗪𝗂𝗵𝗀 County District 3 Representative Attoh-Wreh is elected and will be inducted officially as the new chairperson of the caucus. She succeeds Senate Pro Tem 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗀 Lawrence. Here are those officers installed: Honorable Attoh, chairperson; Honorable President 𝗪𝗂𝗵𝗀, co-chair on national affairs; Honorable 𝗪𝗂𝗵𝗀, co-chair on international affairs; Honorable Bintu Masaleh, Secretary General; Honorable Julie Fatoma-Weah, Financial Secretary; and Honorable 𝗪𝗂𝗁𝗀𝗃𝗀, Treasurer of the caucus. This year, the caucus leadership has now turned to the House of Representatives. The historic event is graced by House Speaker Richard Koung serving as keynote speaker, while Vice President Jeremiah Koung serve as guests of honor, with scores of foreign partners, inclusive of Ms. Comfort Lante, country representative of the United Nations Women in Liberia, and several representatives of women-focused organizations and civil society groupings. My name is 𝗪𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗃𝗀. Welcome to this special production.
I'm honored to have the distinct pleasure in welcoming you to an occasion that is much more than the induction of new leaders of the Women Legislative Caucus. I welcome you to another movement where we reaffirm our national commitment to gender equity, inclusive governance, and the transformative power of female leadership in Liberia, while reaffirming a powerful truth that the progress of Liberia has always been tied to the power, resilience, and leadership of women. In the long arc of Liberia's history, women have never been passive bystanders. We have been warriors, builders, truth tellers, and healers. From the brave women who fought for peace during our nation's darkest civil war, led by 𝗪𝗪𝗶𝗃𝗪, to the market women who sustained our economy, to the trailblazing legislators and ministers who have shaped policy. The handprints of Liberian women are on every stone of national development. As we welcome a new leadership of the Women Legislative Caucus, let's be reminded that this is not a ceremonial baton passing. It is a recommitment to a higher purpose, to ensure that gender equity, inclusive governance, and national development remain intertwined. In our lifetime, we have witnessed groundbreaking elections of Madam Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf, Africa's first democratically elected female president. In her 2006 inaugural address, she proclaimed, "Women will no longer be spectators in the development of this country. They will be central actors, and we have been."
Today's program is an induction of a new leadership that was elected in February of this year. This induction transitions the leadership of the caucus from the House of Senate to the House of Representatives as provided by our Constitution. He is currently the Speaker of the 55th Legislature of Liberia. He is happily married to Mrs. Christian B. Koung. Distinguished guests, our Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
I congratulate the Women Legislative Caucus of Liberia on the induction ceremony of a new corps of officers. It is a distinguished honor for me to serve as a keynote speaker for this program, an opportunity I cherish and will use to recommit and communicate my vision for increased women leadership and participation in the legislature. Distinguished colleagues, other guests, Excellency our Vice President, while this induction ceremony celebrates the joining of women's political leadership and participation in the legislature, it also serves as a movement to reflect the ongoing struggle for the adequate and equal representation of women in elected legislative positions and leadership decision-making processes. The facts and figures regarding women's political leadership and participation are appalling and demand our urgent intervention. To the Honorable Chairperson-elect and distinguished colleagues, since 2006, the proportion of women in the legislature has steadily declined. Following 2023 presidential and legislative elections, women's participation in the legislature stagnated at 10.7%. The number of women in the House of Representatives reduced by 1, and the number of women in the Senate increased by 2. The means of 73 seats in the lower house, women occupy only 8, while in the Senate, with 30 seats, there are only 3 women. Evidently, a major reason for this dismayed representation of women in the absence of the legally binding gender quota, you all can recall that the repeated attempt to pass mandatory gender quota to increase women political representation fails at so many events, especially in 2004. Also in 2010 to 2011, in 2016 to 2017, and again in 2022-2023. The recently revised election bill, which also sought to increase women's political leadership and participation, was introduced by me in 2022. The bill was passed by the House of Representatives in February 2022 with the amendments intact. However, Section 4.5 faced strong opposition in the Senate by July 2023. Senators raised constitutional concern and objected to the penalizing parties that failed to meet the quota, citing gender biases in their argument. To secure passage in the Senate of the Section 4.5 was raised to retain a 30% requirement for parties, leadership, and candidate listing, among other things. I encourage this leadership, the new elected leadership, to highly prioritize changing this sad narrative of declining representation of women in the legislature. Fellow colleagues, it is my heartfelt desire that during the next induction ceremony, we will celebrate an increased political participation of women in elected legislative positions. I therefore firmly commit to mobilizing the political will of my colleagues in the lower house and in the Senate through leading a campaign of male champion, a champion of he for she, politician who will work with this new corps of officer to reproduce the new election law, ensuring the bill is passed with all gender sensitivity provision intact. We cannot move ahead as a country and leave behind almost 50% of our population who are underrepresented in the legislature. Therefore, as you begin the new chapter of this Women Legislative Caucus, the leadership journey, let us work together to increase the level of elected women in our legislature. I want to thank the new leadership and thank you all for your kind attention. We all need to foster our energy to make sure that women's seats are increased. One of the things I've noticed that stalled the increment of women participation in election is the lack of resources. Where more women lack resources to foster their agenda during campaign. I can promise you, as Speaker of the 55th Legislature, we will do our utmost best with my fellow colleagues to create a section or a land apportionment specifically to promote women activities in Liberia.
Some see
achievements, especially, well, one of our aims is to increase female participation in government. And some of the greatest achievements with that was when we decided that in the 2023 elections, we would either maintain our number or go above. We fought, our partners worked with us. Some of us didn't come back, but we did maintain our number, and we had 11 women in the legislature. But most importantly, it's the first time that we have a female representative from 𝗪𝗪𝗃 County, and that was a big achievement. It was a breakthrough. It's also the first time that we have a female senator from 𝗪𝗃𝗵 County. That is a great breakthrough. And a female representative from 𝗪𝗵𝗵 County. Not forgetting the Babolu story with Senator 𝗪𝗪𝗃𝗵. We are grateful to all of you women who fought and supported 𝗪𝗪𝗃𝗵 to come to the Senate. And also my gratitude to all of you for the support for ensuring that I became the first amongst equal, the President Pro Tempore of the Liberia Senate. What was even more amazing is that when most of us thought that women were not interested in politics, during our workshop For the female aspirants in 2023, we had close to 300 women. And that is a big boost and a step forward. We have said over and over that the reason why it's been very tough is because the resources needed to win these elections are very difficult to source, especially for women. We recommended mentoring. We recommended allowing us to tell our own stories to motivate and encourage them. And we recommended planning in the early stages to have several programs in the districts, in the counties, so the awareness could sink in for women to understand the importance of having female as leaders. I want to say thank you, a big thank you to India, Brazil, and South Africa, who has made a huge donation. I will not say what the donation is. I will allow our chair incoming to announce that. But I want to say we are very, very, very grateful for that donation. We look forward to working with our international partners to implement all of our programs that will help to strengthen women in the districts and in the counties, and we attract other women who are not in leadership to come and get supported for the next 2029 elections. We are grateful to the Speaker for his commitment that there will be a line that will support women. That makes it easier for me as the pro tem who's also a female. So that says that the women will definitely come, get supported, because the budget starts from the House of Representatives. And with that line, when it gets to us, it's automatically approved, especially when it's about the women, knowing how the Senate, especially the senators, the kind of support we get from them, also the Vice President. So on that note, I would like to also say thank you to the two senators, female senators, Senator 𝗵𝗂 and Senator 𝗪𝗂𝗵, for the support to me over the years. And thank you to my colleagues, the representatives, female from the House of Representatives, for all of the support. We worked very, very well together, and we look forward to working with Honorable Ellen Attoh to strengthen her so the Women Legislative Caucus can extend and do well at another level. Congratulations, and I would like to call for the induction. I will call on all of the leaders led by the chairperson to come up. Please say your name after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support, uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the Women Legislative Caucus of Liberia, bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic, and will faithfully, conscientiously, and impartially discharge the duties and functions of the office of, to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Unprofessional people in this. Look at the guy. So great.
This induction marks more than just a change in leadership. It is a moment to reaffirm the role of the Women's Legislative Caucus and set a clear direction for the term ahead. Our mandate remains focused to work across political lines, to advance gender equality and women's political participation, to bring women's voices into legislation,
and to make our governance more inclusive and responsive. Liberia still has a long way to go. Women make up 11% of the legislature. At the county level, representation is even lower. We have seen improvements in cabinet and deputy ministerial appointments after the 2023 elections, which is commendable, but overall, the numbers reflect structural barriers that remain unresolved, rooted in long-standing norms on equal access to education, resources, and systems that do not fully support women's leadership. Liberia has signed onto global and regional commitments from the 𝗓𝗏 and the Maputo Protocol. These are not symbolic. We need to see actions. They come with clear obligations to remove the legal and structural barriers that are holding women back. One of the clearest steps we can take is passing a gender quota law. In 2022, the caucus worked to amend the elections law to include a 30% mandatory quota for candidate lists. The bill passed both houses, but did not become a law. Still, it was a strong signal of what is possible when women organize and act with shared purpose. In this new term, the caucus plans to advocate for comprehensive framework on temporary special measures, including binding gender quota for both legislative and on temporary special measures, including a binding gender quota that will encourage women and make it more enforceable. Our strategic plan from 2024 to 2028 lays out 4 clear priorities: strengthening the legislative function by promoting gender sensitivity lawmaking and championing specific laws that will support gender parity in leadership and reflect the realities of women and girls across Liberia. Reinforce the oversight role by advocating for gender-responsive budgeting and holding institutions accountable for delivering on policies and programs meant to serve women. And on that note, on a side note, I want to thank the speaker for being farsighted and mention here in this public manner that he will ensure that there's something in our national budget for the women. To conclude, we are also there to expand the representation by functioning women that are capable, as well as women who have the desire, and to ensure that we work with them to bring them at the decision-making level. Across all of this, we know the barriers women face remain serious. Most women still lack access to information, political financing, network, and of course support. Many carry the full burden of care responsibilities. Others are treading on silence that they may try to lead. These are not side issues. They go to the heart of why representation remains so low. These are some of the reasons the Women Caucus will work with young women through mentorship and initiatives. This work requires partnership. We want to thank the European Union, the government of Sweden, the Ireland for their continuous support and commitment to the advancing women's leadership and gender equality in Liberia. Their support has made it possible for the caucus to remain active, visible, and engaged in critical moments. We are also very pleased to acknowledge the ongoing support of the Indian Brazil-South Africa Facility for Poverty and Hunger Alleviation Fund that was rendered to the caucus to enhance our work across the counties and Liberia at large. The government of India, Brazil, and South Africa, the fund that was given is there to support new initiative with the Women Legislative Caucus currently under development, which will focus on leadership, economic empowerment, regional exchange for knowledge sharing. We especially recognize the long-standing partnership and technical support from UN Women, whose consistent engagement has been central to the work and visibility of the caucus. We also acknowledge the valuable contributions of the UNDP and of our UN partners in strengthening institutional capacity and promoting inclusive governance. And we will welcome 𝗪𝗎 as a recent partner to the legislature whose engagement will support institutional capacity building. On this note, on behalf of Honorable Attoh-Wreh, the chairperson of the caucus, and my members that were inducted in office today, we have pledged our allegiance to work across all of the counties, despite our political differences, to ensure that we are represented and the number will change from 11 women to more. Thank you very much.
Attoh-Wreh, a strong woman, and I know you are prepared and ready for the task. Congratulations. I also want to bring you a congratulations message from the President of Liberia, President 𝗪𝗂𝗏, who has asked me while I'm standing here, I should say to you, congratulations to you and your entire leadership, and you have the fullest support of the President. A few years ago, we had one of our stronger women, Her Excellency the former President, 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀
being the president of Liberia, when things were really difficult, she broke that glass ceiling